So I wanted to do a second video today, and this one I wanted to talk about anti-blackness, but I wanted to talk specifically about anti-blackness within the industry, particularly the movie industry or television industry. Now, you know that the Fresh Prince reunion happened this week, and Janet Hubert, who played the original Aunt Viv, basically said that Will, as in Will Smith, who played Will, the character in the show, described her as difficult to work with, which basically led to her being blacklisted by the industry. And I just wanted to talk about that particular anti-blackness because it's really, really detrimental. Can't even get my words out. Detrimental to women who are dark skinned, like she explains. It's just one thing to say, it's one thing to say that that particular person is difficult to work with, but there is always a sense of anti-blackness behind it when it's a dark-skinned black woman who's been labelled as difficult to work with. And I just feel that he could have, I mean, he was very young at the time, he was only in his early 20s, but at the same time, he had to have known the impact that his words would have had. Janet didn't have to explain it to him this many years later. She was literally blacklisted. She was told that she was difficult to work with. Nobody basically wanted to work with her. And the truth of the matter is, wasn't she pregnant? During part of the time she was in a Fresh Prince, she was pregnant. Of course, her emotions were doing a number on her.
Killed. But I lost everything. Reputation, everything. And I understand you were able to move forward, but you know those words, calling a black woman difficult in Hollywood is the kiss of death. It's the kiss of death, and it's hard enough being a dark-skinned black woman in this business.
And, you know, no offense to the character Daphne Maxwell Reid, who played the new Aunt Viv. No offense to her, I think she's absolutely fantastic, but you can see how they basically rewrote the character of Aunt Viv, because when Janet played her originally, she was a very headstrong, assertive, beautiful, dark-skinned black woman. And particularly that scene when she does that dance recital, when she does that, it was absolutely amazing. You know, she was very headstrong. She was not timid. And then when Daphne Maxwell Reid took over the character after Janet was basically kicked off the show, they basically rewrote the character. She became more timid. She became the kind of person who would not speak out against certain things. Like, it didn't even make any sense how they rewrote the character, but it just really, really shows how colorism is. Dark-skinned women are seen as aggressive. They're seen as difficult to work with. They're seen as masculine. And then you see someone like Daphne Maxwell Reid, again, no offense to her, because I have read up on her history and she's absolutely amazing, but no offense to her, but the way the character was written really plays into the stereotypes of colorism. You know, the light-skinned woman who's more feminine, she's more timid, she will not talk back to a man. You know, it's really damaging. Like, actually both ways it's damaging, because if you see a lot of light-skinned women, they are not how they are portrayed to be. But it's also like, why can't a dark-skinned black woman be seen as feminine? Why is it only light-skinned women who can be seen as feminine? And not just that, when you ascribe to a dark-skinned black woman that they are feminine, you are really putting a damaging stereotype on them. Like, it reminds me of way back in the day when I was watching, I found out about the 10 Mandingo. You know, the 10 Mandingo that was ascribed to dark-skinned black men. They were seen as only good for having sex. You know, they have big dicks, and they are dark skinned, and they are muscular, and they are very, 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 very masculine, and this is the stereotype that they were using against them. So I found out about that term, and I started searching, and I was like, where on earth does this term come from? Oh, it's coming from slavery. And I saw the movie Mandingo, and I was absolutely astonished by the levels of racism within the movie, and also like how white women would see dark-skinned black men as these sexual objects to just fetishize over. And it was really revolting how they did it. Either these dark-skinned black men were seen as only to be used to, you know, breed so they can have more children on the plantation, or it was for a white woman's pleasure only. They were not seen as human beings. They were just seen as sexual deviants whose only purpose is to pleasure a woman or get a woman pregnant. And like I said, these masculine stereotypes are not just ascribed to dark-skinned black men, but also dark-skinned black women. We are seen as more, we're not me in general, but I'm just, you know, they are seen as more masculine. You know what they used to do to Serena Williams? She used to have to deal with the transgender comments about her. They used to say that she was a transgender, and it was certain black men who were saying this, but not just black men, it was also white men who were saying this shit as well. And there was also a scientist years ago who basically said that black women in general were seen as the ugliest women on earth. And when you put those labels onto people, it all filters into every single industry in this world, particularly the movie industry, because look at the character Storm. The character Storm from X-Men is an absolutely fantastic character. And she is absolutely amazing, powerful, African character. But yet what they did in the movies was they picked biracial light-skinned women to portray her. And it doesn't make any sense, because if you read the comics, Storm is a dark-skinned black woman who is very powerful, and you've basically, in the movie industry, they basically erased all that she is about, just so that they can appeal to the white audiences, because they know that a lot of us are comic book fanatics. I used to watch X-Men Evolution back in the day, so you couldn't tell me nothing about Storm. She was also my favourite character, and Rogue as well. But seeing like when I had the very first X-Men movie, I believe it was 2001, and how they basically picked Halle Berry, who I believe Halle Berry was a great Storm, but even so, she was not the right fit. The right fit would have been a dark-skinned black woman, but they did not want a dark-skinned black woman because they feel back then a dark-skinned black woman couldn't have portrayed her the way she should have been portrayed, which does not make any sense because she is a dark-skinned black woman. So then you have biracial people who are portraying her, and you know, like a few years ago when they rebooted the X-Men series, and once again a biracial woman portrayed the character, which does not make any sense. And when people were calling out the colorism within the music industry, particularly with these studios who created the X-Men movies, it was the character of Storm, I will not say her name because I refuse, it was the new character of Storm who basically kicked up a fuss and started bitching and saying that she shouldn't have turned down the role, because why should she have to turn down the role? Like, you could have easily said, no, it's okay, you can pick a dark-skinned black person to play this role, but instead you choose not to. You damage their reputation, you damage their ability to be able to get a job, and you don't feel no way about it at all, and it's very disgusting, and it's all to do with self-hate. Now, I don't have a problem with Will Smith now acknowledging where he did wrong, but I do question the validity of him having Janet on the Fresh Prince reunion, and because, you know, for years people have been saying that Janet was the best iteration of Aunt Viv. No offense to Daphne Maxwell Reid, but we prefer the dark skin Aunt Viv. She was far better. Okay, the character was written really well, and then you had to go and change it. And you had to go change the character completely to fit in to these light skin stereotypes, which don't make any sense. You could have had it exactly the same way, or you could have hired another dark skin actress to play her. I honestly feel like there should be more representation for dark-skinned black women within the movie and television industry. Like someone who's actively rooting and actively saying, you know what, I'm going to like create a TV show or whatever, and I'm going to actively make sure that if it's based on a comic book series or it's based on a book, it's actually... the representation is there, because I don't understand how you can be black and read a book and, you know, the main character, the main character is dark skinned, and then you decide to take it to the big screen and you then decide to hire a light skinned person to play that character, knowing full well that within the book there is colorism. Within the book there is colorism because the title character is is dark skinned, and then you go and basically erase all of that by picking a lighter skinned person. Now, I'm not saying that lighter skinned people cannot deal with colorism, because they do, but you know that the level of colorism is disproportionate. Dark skinned black women deal with the bulk of it, and we know this. So why would you then go and decide to erase that? We need to be having more conversations about colorism in the movie industry, even in the music industry, the TV industry. We need to keep having these conversations about colorism, because I don't understand how there can be so many fantastically talented actresses and singers and they don't get given an opportunity because of how dark and deep and rich their melanin is. And it is ridiculous. It's honestly ridiculous. 2020, and where have we gone? Where have we evolved to? Just like I said in my video on Wednesday about the whole racism the whole backlash to Sainsbury's having choosing to have black people within the advertisement, and the racist backlash to that. In 2020, you're still being racist over foolishness, and then you don't seem to understand. Yeah, you don't seem to understand how that is an issue within the movie and television industry at the same time. It's the exact same issue. They do not want us to have representation, and they particularly did not like the fact that there is dark-skinned black people in that television advertisement. They did not like it. And it's ridiculous to still be having these conversations. So the movie, television and music industry, they need to step up. And I'm not surprised why they're not stepping up, because they feel like they're being battered down by white people who have a high amount of power that they should not be having. They have plenty of power that they should not be having. Because why should one particular race of people be allowed to amass mass amounts of wealth, become capitalists, and then try and say, you know what, black people, fuck all you. That's what they're basically doing. They're basically telling us to go along. They're saying that our self-worth is determined by how dark our skin is. If we are too dark, we ain't shit. If we're like, oh yeah, we're feminine and everything. They control it. They're controlling these strings, and we are their fucking puppets, and we need to wake up and we need to do better. Because why are you still being a puppet? Why are you not doing your research? Why are you still allowing to them dictate to you the value of black people? But anyway, I have ranted on enough. I've done my 2 videos today, so I shall get them edited and up within the next half an hour or so. Depends. But anyway, I shall see you later for some more YouTube videos. Okay, I'm gone. Bye.